Amid a huge fanfare, Apple opened gates to its first official retail store in India on the 18th of April 2023. There were loyalists who carried a 1984 Macintosh, Apple enthusiasts who waited for over 15 hours to enter the store, and some who could not contain the excitement after getting a selfie with the Apple CEO Tim Cook. The launch of the store, spanning over 20,000 square feet, marked a new era for the world's most valuable company's push for Indian customers. But why is India so important to Apple? A country which is too price sensitive, a country where Apple does not even feature among the top 5 brands which dominate India's smartphone market share, and most importantly, a country where the revenue falls far behind the country it's trying to dethrone as the manufacturing hub. We'll get into all that, but first, do subscribe to the Moneycontrol channel. Tim Cook's trip to India to open the first 2 Apple stores was the strongest sign yet that India has become a huge strategic focus for the Cupertino-based company. India is one of the fastest growing economies, the most populous country, and has witnessed a consistent growth of smartphone users. The iPhone maker's revenue in India rose by 45% to Rs 33,831 crores in the financial year 2021-22 as compared to its revenue recorded in the previous year. The profits also increased by 3% to 1,263 crore rupees. India also set an all-time revenue record by selling over 2 million iPhones in the last quarter of fiscal year 2022. Announcing these stupendous results, Cook said that Apple has continued to perform extremely well in the emerging markets, with very strong double-digit growth in India, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. Experts believe that strong aspirational brand value along with a wider portfolio of iPhones have spurred the demand among the Indian consumers. So with such positive results, Apple could not afford to expand its footprint in India. And after meeting regulators' demand, it finally decided to open its stores in the country. But then comes the price point of Apple products. If you want to buy any latest iPhone, they are north of Rs 50,000. And that's starting with the iPhone SE, the most affordable among the latest iPhone series. How does it plan to compete with other giants such as Samsung, Xiaomi, Oppo, which boasts of a much bigger share of India's smartphone market and whose prices are even lower than the least expensive iPhone? As per data, the Indian smartphone market was dominated by Samsung, which occupied a 20% market share, followed by Xiaomi and Vivo, which had an 18% market share, followed by Oppo and Realme, which had an 11% and a 9% market share respectively. Apple's high iPhone sales was able to crack almost a 4% market share in India. Well, for starters, Apple's target audience is completely different. They want to target the consumers who are looking to buy premium smartphones. With consistent rise in per capita income, the demand for luxury cars, premium smartphones, TVs, laptops and other electronic products in India is growing and is expected to go beyond the pre-pandemic level.
After 20 years, we are getting one here in India, in fact 2, and that signifies a lot of things. First, the importance of a market like India for Apple, and the second is, if you look at Apple is peaking at India at the right time. So if you look at more from the market share perspective, or if you look at the manufacturing perspective, so seems like things are falling in place.
Analysts have also predicted that India's large population and maturing economy is ideally situated for Apple to make inroads by increasing marketing efforts and offering retail in the country. Apple is now also allowing customers to pay for their phones in installments or giving them a discount for trading in an older device. This way, India's price-sensitive consumer is able to own a premium smartphone and pay for it in monthly installments.
But the point to also note here is that the average global selling price of an Apple phone is $796, while the average selling price of a Samsung phone is $256. So this makes the profit margin for Apple bigger than that of its Android competitors.
Point of Apple is not to penetrate to like the budget market or the mid-range market. They're trying to create great devices, and I think it's more of people will start buying expensive phones because Apple is creating them, and not Apple will create budget phones, because Apple won't do that. But a lot of people are buying a lot more expensive phones, so eventually a lot more people will end up buying a lot of expensive phones.
Like they are फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर आप एक आईफोन ले रहे हो तो आपको पता है कि 5 साल यूज करोगे फर्स्ट क्लास चलेगा। आप मैक ले रहे हो, आपको पता है कि आप उससे कितना कुछ कर सकते हो। तो वो जो एक चीज एप्पल के पास में है, वो आई डोंट थिंक कि बाकी ब्रांड्स के पास में है। तो एप्पल कस्टमर्स डेफिनेटली दे आर ग्रोइंग, यू नो, ईयर आफ्टर ईयर। अभी तो एप्पल के लिए आई थिंक काफी एक अच्छा टाइम भी चल रहा है।
Also, Apple's new Mumbai store has some tough advertising conditions. As per the lease agreement, 22 competing brands cannot open shops or advertise near the store. These brands include Amazon, Facebook, Google, LG, Microsoft, Sony, Twitter, Bose, Dell, and so on. Now coming to the most important part of the strategy, and that is make Apple products in India, a major shift from Apple's 15-year continued partnership with China. This is a project that requires not only Apple's attention but also efforts from its manufacturing partners and the Indian government. Apple did $74 billion in sales in China, Hong Kong and Taiwan in fiscal year 2022, accounting for Apple's 18% of total revenue, whereas it did only $6 billion in sales in India last year. So while the gap is significant, the opportunity that lies ahead in India is massive. Some factors, including trade tensions between China and the US, supply chain disruption due to China's strict COVID policies, prompted Apple to shift some of its production to non-Chinese players. And here, India has emerged as a winner. In January 2023, India's Commerce Minister told CNBC that Apple was manufacturing its latest iPhone 14 in the country and had a goal to produce as many as 25% of all iPhones in the country. Apple's primary manufacturing partner, Foxconn, which oversees a large portion of the assembly of new iPhones in China, has expanded in India too, reportedly building a $700 million plant for iPhone parts in Bangalore. But it's a long way to go before India can bite a bigger grab than China to become Apple's manufacturing hub.
China manufacturing will shift to India. It will be like additional, and we need to look into the fact that the entire Apple iPhone sales year on year has been growing at like 3 to 5% as well. So the point is there will be some diversification that will happen from China to India. And we expect that, for example, last year almost like 10 million iPhones were locally manufactured in India. Some of those meant for domestic consumption, and then there is an export opportunity as well. So we believe that the real, we are still seeing 10 years down the line when we'll see a bulk of the iPhones starts assembling in India, and it will be a mix of China and India and other countries. It will not be like there will be a complete shift from China to India.
Undoubtedly, India has emerged as one of the most important strategic partners for Apple, and the openings of the two stores here are a testimony to that. The attempt to increase the consumer base will run parallel with Apple's expansion of production in India. So what do you think about Apple's big bite in India? Let us know in the comments below.